Hey, so I hope you're doing well. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how I prepared for my OSWE exam, the labs, the extra miles and stuff like that. I have been asked different questions from Reddit and Twitter. I'll try to answer those as well, and then I'll try to keep it short and precise to the point. Some mistakes I did, and some mistakes I would try. I would ask you to not do in the exam and in the labs and before the labs, right? Okay, so let's just dive into it without wasting any more time. Okay, so the first thing in the prerequisites, I would say regarding the programming languages which OSWE cover, they have told that in their syllabus. Let me just take a quick look. This is the PDF. So what they cover is there's I think a tutor, HTML, and then there's Node.js, and then there's manageengine, .NETNuke. So all of these, the previous old lab contains these languages. So you can say all of those come with PHP, and then we have to do Java, that is, and then C#, and then there is Node.js. So you just need to know JavaScript good to understand Node.js. It took me around 2 days to practice this, and I created a test application as well in this. So what I did was before the exam, because I knew that I had to prepare a little bit before that. A little bit about me: I am not from a dev background. I learned PHP and Python for automation. You can find some scripts at my GitHub, but I just learned those to automate stuff I like, and I don't want to waste my time on. I use that to do that. So I already knew PHP. I did revise it. There's the repository by Wetwork. Let me just put that over here. This one, OSWE Prep. So this one here has some challenges. I did the JavaScript for Pentesters. I completed this course before jumping into the labs, and then I completed PHP exercises of EWIT. All of the ones he has mentioned in here. I think, yeah, these PHP challenges, there were 40, I think. Yeah, so I completed all these before jumping into the labs, right? So that is something I would ask you to do for JavaScript and Java as well. This thing I will cover in the mistakes I did, and I should have learned C# and Java before jumping in the exam, because Node.js is simply just JavaScript, and then you don't really have to learn much in that. But for understanding the labs, you have to know Java and C# really well. And then the second thing is you should know what methods are, what are their attributes, what are fields, and stuff like that. You just need to know modular programming, and then you need to know a little bit about OOP. You don't really need to go deep into the concepts like encapsulation or polymorphism. Encapsulation is maybe something which is being used extensively in the labs, and in the labs machines, and in the exam machine you will find that too. So that is something I would just want you to get familiar with. You don't really have to code some programs in that. And then there's the last thing, that is MVC frameworks. You need to know what is MVC, how the framework work, and you need to at the very least create some applications in either Laravel if you are comfortable in PHP, or you can use Django if you are comfortable with Python. You can utilize any of those to do this, right? And then there's the POC creation. For the POC, what you need to know is Python, Ruby. You can just code it in any language you want, but definitely you are not going to use C or C++ for doing that, right? So you should either you can create a POC exploit in any language you are comfortable with, and whatever does the job for the final exam machines. So that's it for the POC creation. And for the MVC framework, in the exam, in the labs, all the machines you will be doing would be based on MVC model, and you should know what it does, what it is, and stuff like that. In the past, I have coded some applications in Laravel and Django for just my practice. So it did give me some benefits in understanding the routes in the application, that okay, so this route, this endpoint points to this module, and then I have to look at this module. Okay, so that's it for the prerequisites. I mean, there are some more what you should know. Many people recommend the Web Applications Hackers Handbook. To be really honest, I have never read that. So, I did have around 2.5 years of experience, of professional experience in pen testing applications of clients based different multinational clients. So I did knew pen testing really well, all of the attack vectors. I used to do some bug bounty on Synac as well. I have account there, but I'm not doing that actively nowadays. So I knew web applications really well beforehand, but source code audit was something I was really weak in. So that was something which OSWE really, prepared me for. So before jumping into the labs, you should do this. And then there's a simple machine that is, I think, XSS to RC by Pentesterlabs. So I did this machine in the labs. I didn't do it before, so this is something I would say that you do before jumping into the labs. You should be able to find. You don't really have to find it based on yourself. You can maybe take some help. You can take some hints from the articles Pentesterlabs has written itself, and then there are some other guys who have written this. I think it was Akash from. I just went to his website and he had mentioned that there. So this was really helpful in finding the vulnerabilities to, and I think the application they're using in it is MEC as well. So you can practice on this, and then something I would like you to do is maybe practice a little bit on DVWA if you don't have a background of bug bounties or pen testing, web applications, mobile application, anything like that. If you don't have that, maybe practice a little bit on DVWA and BWAP. You can use that. And then there's many other applications. There's Node.js Goat, I think, and then there's OSWE Goat for Node.js, and then for C# you can use that too. .NET framework, sorry. So that is it for the prerequisites. Actually, this was what I did. Okay, something I would like to make really clear: if there is a beginner who has just bought OSWE prior to even doing OSCP or stuff like that, so he might have to understand some other stuff. But for me, these were the things I did, and many things Java and C# I didn't do, and then I really didn't do the other things, like I didn't practice on OS code for .NET framework. I didn't do that. That was recommended by many friends, but I didn't just get the time while doing my daily job. And then afterwards, my lab started in July. It was of 30 days, and then I got lucky. I will tell you about that later on. So regarding the preparation, you just have to go through the PDF they have given to you and the videos. So I would just say complete a video and then check its corresponding PDF, because sometimes what happens is that there are references or there are footnotes in the end of the PDFs containing details about a vulnerability they explain in the lab. So you might get confused that what is this? I don't really understand this. But when you open the PDF, they have given footnotes. They have given some external references to articles, some helping material to understand better, and to prepare, to understand what is happening somewhere and how it is happening, right? So they just give reference to that. So if you find yourself confused, you can just use the PDF, and I would recommend reading that along with the exam. And I completed my PDF before jumping into the exam. And then regarding the labs, you just have to follow whatever the instructor does. He tells you, like in the email, he exploits this vulnerability. He first gets authentication bypass, and then he gets RC. So you just have to follow that, and then you have to chain both those vulnerabilities and create a final exploit. So this is this, and then there are extra miles. So this is something I've seen people miss out on, or they usually don't do this, but I would highly recommend doing this. There was only two extra miles I missed. There was the Java manageengine ones, and then there was C# .NetNuke, sorry, Deserialization. So these two extra miles were the one I left. I didn't do these, and rest of all of the extra miles of Node.js, Base Master, SafeEval, and all of those extra miles I've done those, and they were a really good resource for me to practice my skills, because in the labs, whenever you are doing the machine, there are all the machines the instructor does himself, right? So you are just repeating what he does, but you are trying to understand how he did it and stuff like that. So that is just following his footsteps. But when they ask you to do the extra mile, this is something you do based on your own knowledge. You have learned from the repetition of what it did and the concept you learned from doing the labs, right? So extra miles is something I would recommend highly. And then afterwards, you have to define a methodology. So for me, one person asked me what was my methodology. It was, first of all, do black box panels of the application. This was something recommended to me by a colleague and a really good friend of mine, Zishan Sahi. I'm really thankful to him for that. I asked him, this was my own way, but he told me that do a complete black box pen test. What I was doing before was just open the application. Okay, I see the login feature, I jump to the source code of that login feature, and then I will see that what does this login feature have, right? So he said, don't do that, you might waste more time in that. First of all, do a complete black box pen test of the application, see what are the endpoints. So in the exam, you just cannot do the machine based on a black box pen test. Whatever you do, you cannot do that. They make you go through the source code to get access to whatever you want to do, but you just cannot do that based on the black box pen test. But this gives you a really good overview of what is the application, in which programming language it is written, what are the endpoints, what are the hidden endpoints which are there but which aren't being called from the web application anywhere. So you see, that is the suspected feature. That is something you should jump on afterwards when you are going to the source code. So you did the black box pen test, you didn't find that feature anywhere in the web application, but there was an external feature, extra feature in the source code, in the routes, and you saw that and you were like, oh shit, okay, I should definitely see this function, and you should. So that is something you should do. First of all, do a black box pen test, and then go to the source code, and there's the white box pen test, or you can say the source code audit, and then that's that. So create a methodology, and then whenever you have a function you cannot find the reference to it, so what you can do is you can just use grep, all the grep patterns, everything is given in the labs. You can practice with that, and that would be enough for exam. I myself found myself using grep at I think 10 or 15 places, so it was really helpful to me and saved a lot of time. And then on the last day of my labs, when I bought this, I got lucky. When my labs ended around 5 a.m. and then offensive security at the same day announced around 5 to 6 p.m. that they have updated the course content, and they have updated the labs. They have added some new additional machines, and I asked them that can I get access to it. My labs just ended today, and they gave that to me. So I just got lucky, and I got 30 days of labs plus 30 days. So I really practiced. I didn't knew that I would get those, so I did complete all of my labs machines in the first 30 days. But these extra miles, these were the ones I left in my first 30 days, but I didn't do those in the next 30 days. I got in free, because if a thing is free, you really don't respect it that much, right? So what I did was I revised all of the course content. I went through all of the videos again, and I went through the PDF again, all of the modules which he has explained. The PDF also got updated. For the videos were same for the old machines, but the PDF got a little bit updated for the same content. So that was that, and then I got updated content, the updated videos, updated PDF containing all of the new machines. I didn't really do any of the machine which was given in the new labs, and they have made it really clear in the blog that as of now there are no new lab machines. They are the same lab machines which were being used before. Even after the lab update, the machines at the time of creation of this video, it's September 8, 2020, it is the same. The labs are same. The exam machines are same based on the exam machines haven't been updated based on these labs. So even if the labs did get updated, the exam machines haven't been updated. And I found that in the exam they weren't. They were based on the course content I went through in the old labs. So there wasn't anything new, like there wasn't Python. I'm not sure what the new content includes. There was, I think, SSTI and stuff like that, but I really didn't go. You can check the syllabus for that. It might see, there's the SSTI vulnerability, and then there's other stuff, XXE. So this wasn't an exam, and I really didn't have to do this. Okay, so jumping onto the exam. This was a really tough one as compared to my OSCP exam. The OSCP was, you can say, really easy. I think it took me around 5 hours to complete all of my machines, and I got 100 points a year ago in November 2019. And then it took around 2 to 3 hours to reproduce all of the machines. I always do this. I never take screenshots, but that is a really bad habit of mine. And I complete all the machines. Afterwards, I take screenshot. I did the same in OSWE when I had 6 hours left. I took screenshots of all the machines in around 4 hours. It took me 46 hours to score 85 points, which are the passing points. So you have to have, there are a total of 100 points. The distribution is like this: 35 authentication bypass, and 15 that is for RC, right? And then you have to create a POC script chaining both of these without any intervention, any user input or stuff like that. You just have to give the IP, and the script runs and gets you RC and gets you the proof.txt, whatever is mentioned in the exam details. They give you a detail beforehand that this you have to get these from the exam, and then you have to print that in your script, add screenshots of that and stuff like that. So for the exam, so there was a rabbit hole. I would say that be aware of this, right? This was really tough for me. On the second day of my lab, when I completed my first machine, I was like, overconfident a little bit. And on the second machine, I found a vulnerable feature, which updated the password of the user. So I'm not going to give any spoilers, I hope, so I don't talk about any of that. So what it did was it gave away, you can say it updated my password, right? It was that feature. So that was a rabbit hole. I was using the same password again and again and again, right? So with my custom created or my custom manipulation, I was using the same old password, which was once resetted using the legit manipulation. So with my custom manipulation, that password really didn't get updated. The response was same. So I thought that, okay, I found authentication bypass in my second machine as well, but that was a rabbit hole, and it was a really deep one, and I slept peacefully just to wake up, reset the machine, and I also created an exploit for the authentication bypass. So I thought I should just create one, and when I ran it, it didn't work, and I was completely shut it. I was in awe, and I thought, okay, so that is the rabbit hole people talk about. So beware of that. Always use different passwords while trying to manipulate anything. Don't use the same old password and again. You might maybe report IFP, and make sure to revert the machines often. I think there were 50 reverts, and I used around 35 reverts by the end of my exam. So 35 from 50, that is a really large amount. So I did use all of those. Okay, so further going forward, we have the guidelines. So that is something the OSWE exam details mention. You have to add a screenshot of burp showing you logged in successfully, the local.txt, and then from RC proof.txt. You can find those in your exam guide. So make sure to read those really carefully, okay? And then there is the time management. I would not really give any lecture on that since I manage my time really badly. Be sure to make a plan, right? If you cannot find something in the first machine by 10 hours, jump onto the second machine. The same they say for OSCP, right? You don't have to stick to the first machine until you get authentication or RC bypass. Just go to the other machine and then come back to the first machine when you are feeling confident that you can take this on, right? So that is something. And my time management was like really bad. I took many breaks, and I slept around for, you can say, 16 to 15 hours maybe in those 48 hours. So you can say I did get good sleep. I didn't take sleep for like 8 hours directly. It was 4 hours, small breaks, and then coming back to the exam. So that is something, if you want to take on, or you can just, there's enough time. So something I would like to tell you, the difference between the labs and the exam is that the labs have machines which have like 20 to 30,000 lines of code, and you might get confused that how am I going to do that in the exam. So it is like the same in OSCP. Like you see, the labs machines sometimes take you 2 to 3 days to solve that, but when you gave the exam, you came to know that the exam machines are relatively easier compared to the labs machine, right? So same goes in the OSWE exam. The lab machines, the exam machines had lesser lines of code as compared to labs. They were massive. Let's say there are 30 files which each have around, you can say, 400 lines of code. So when you multiply that, you get around I think 12K. So you can see that easily, just 30 files having 400 lines of code, that is also too much. All right, so it is relatively a little bit easier. I would not say easier, I would say smaller than the lab machine. The exam machines are smaller than that, so you don't have to get confused or maybe get sad that how I will able to manage my time and stuff. The source code would be small, but it would be in a way that it might take you a long time to figure stuff out. So that is it for the exam. And then there were some mistakes I made. First of all, it was I took snapshot of a machine like everyone does, the Kali machine, the VMware machine, which I was going to use to give my exam. On the first day, it ran really well. On the second day, what happened was it started, my VMware crashed somehow, I don't know why. And when I ran it again, the machine got really slow. Even though I gave it around 8 GB of RAM, 2 cores, 2 processors, still it was really slow. So it was slow. It was as if you have RDPD in my machine, right? You know how it is. It's like the screens load after 1 second, or there's 2 seconds of delay after every click or something you do. So it was the same in that, and it was hanging often. So I took a snapshot 5 days before the exam. I restored that snapshot and it was the same. All of my new stuff gone, all of the packages I have installed and stuff like that, whatever I have configured gone, but still the speed was same. So at that time I knew that take snapshots, that is a good thing, but create a local copy of the VM. So that is something I would suggest you. That it is I don't know why it didn't work. Snapshots always work for me, but this is something I would suggest anyways. Create a local copy, just copy that VM into another partition, into another folder, create a local copy of the VM. So if the snapshot or the VM gets messed up, you still have this. So what I did was I wasted around an hour. I already had the ISO of 2019.4 Kali, and I installed that, I updated that, and there was like 1 GB of update. And then I updated that. I added my tmux configuration. I mounted my partitions again of my OSWE exam, which was locally present here. So I did all that, and that took me around 1 to 1.5 hours, and that was a waste of time, right? On my second day, when I was in that rabbit hole. So you can feel it, right? So something I would say is create a local copy. Do not depend upon snapshots. They are really bad. Something I've learned the hard way. These are the things everyone say in everywhere, right? Take backups, but you just ignore it. I did the same. Nobody really told me to create a local copy. Everyone just said take a snapshot and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say create a local copy. You'll know when the time comes. Next thing is the bad time management along with my job. My job is around 9 by 5, so the 9 hours I have to dedicate to that. So what I came up with was if I wake on 9 and I do my job till 6, the 5 is actually the 5 working days. So 9 to 6 is 9 hours. Sorry, 9 hours of work, and then around 8 I went to sleep. 8 p.m. Sleep after eating dinner and going to sleep. Afterwards, I woke up around always 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. And then this was the preparation time, because you are already exhausted after the 9 hours. You really cannot, do the lab machines. So what I did was I slept at 8 p.m. 2 to 3 hours of sleep, and then I woke up around 11 to 12 p.m. I think this would be a.m. or yeah, it's a.m. So starting from that, it's 11 to 5 a.m. every day. I have to give 6 or 5 hours, 12 to 5. I gave 6 to 5 hours daily to my lab machines, and I was able to complete all of the machines except for C# in the first 20 days. C# isn't that difficult, but it's just like a monster to me. It happens to some people, so I make it difficult upon myself, that man, this is really difficult, I just cannot do it. And the .NETNuke module is kinda confusing, so I don't blame myself completely for that. You'll know when you come across that. So this was my schedule, so you can maybe go with this, or if you don't have a job, you can maybe take the whole day. I would say that is best, really. And then I took some leaves. In the first month of my lab, I took around 3 to 4 leaves in the same month to just prepare well for the exam and do labs. So I did all the extra miles. I've told you before that the ones I missed, so not going on that. So this was my time schedule for that. Okay, continuing forward. Yeah, I didn't have any dev background, as I said in the starting. I just prepared I just prepared PHP and Python. I knew that really well, but that was only for creation of POC. PHP did help me in the labs and everywhere, but you know, I would just try to keep the spoilers minimum, and I hope I don't give any. So yeah, not giving any. Coming back to this, yeah, my dev background, as I said in the start of the video, it was like really bad. I knew C#, I knew Java, I knew Node.js. This was relatively easy. It took me 2 days, 1 day to learn Node.js. So what you can do here is you don't have to take a complete boot camp or a complete course based on 8 to 9 hours, right? There are different refreshers. I mean, what I used was, just a second, YouTube. Okay. What I did was, you can say Node.js refresher. Yeah, traversing media. So I did this Node.js refresher the first day, and then the second day I started coding my own application. I made a simple Node.js application. Just, what it did was it whenever you gave something, it printed that back, and then it created a request to a resource, and then returned the response for that. So I used the request. I don't remember the library I used, and I think it was HTTP maybe. I don't remember it exactly since it has been 2 months, but yep. So you should practice that for that. And regarding this, I didn't know C# and Java. I didn't learn even a little bit of Java. And C# was something I learned. I went to arrays and stuff, but then I gave up on this as well because I didn't really have time, as I've said before. So if you have time, you should learn this if you are not from a dev background, and I definitely wasn't. But my skills in penetration testing were good, so that helped me go through. But again, this exam is based on source code audit and not on your pen testing skills. So yeah, a little bit of development is required, so yeah, be ready for that. And then something which I learned during the exam was debugging. I got a machine which I didn't know how to debug that. So for PHP, you can just use echo, or you can use var dump everywhere. That is not debugging, but that's debugging for a poor man. He can use this way to debug his this is not debugging again, this is just printing variables values. So what I did was I just mounted, you might have seen that he does a SFTP in labs. So I did SFTP in all the machines and mounted those, and then I used Sublime Text to view the source code, and then add echo or var dump wherever I think I can use this in labs. So debugging is something I would recommend to learn in all four, in PHP, Java, C# and Node.js. You have to learn debugging in all four of these. If you don't, you'll have to learn that in the exam. So I think it would be better to do that prior to the exam. And then it isn't really required that much, but having some basic concepts, the routing for MVC, routing and stuff, and for OOP you should know what methods are, what is encapsulation, how the classes are being used in one file and other, right? So you just need to know a little bit of that. You don't have to be expert in OOP. Regarding debugging, again, I would say it took me around an hour to get to debugging read the exam guidelines really well. It was mentioned in the guideline how to debug the binary or the machine I was doing, the source code I had access to, but I really didn't read the guidelines when, even though I read it like 3 to 4 times, but still sometimes you miss stuff. So it was mentioned there, but it took me around 1 to 1.5 hour of time waste, and then I came back to the guidelines again, and it was mentioned there that there's a file there, you can utilize that in Visual Studio Code. And then I'm going to mention that down below. So another thing is that use Visual Studio Code for your coding daily. Do not use Sublime Text, and I mean Sublime Text is really good, and I'm even using that for presenting this. It is lightweight if you just have to create a single script, but when you are analyzing modules, when you are analyzing frameworks, when you are analyzing our modular application, you should use Visual Studio Code or a better IDE than Sublime Text. This is just created for I have coded all of my application in this, but again, Visual Studio Code has many benefits. You can just click on method and you can find the reference to it. You can just land on that file, and that helped me a really big deal in the exam. I just had to press control and left click of mouse, and then I just went to that file which contained that method or the value. So, and then debugging. The debugging was configured in Visual Studio Code, so you need to you need to get comfortable with using that. Remember, you have to use this. So so secondly, coming back, so this was it. These were some of the mistakes, and then coming back to the questions I got from Reddit and Twitter. I have answered those, but I would try to answer that again in here. So the first one, what tips would you give to someone who is on their journey to OSWE? So it will be the same. It will be learning these 4 programming languages before jumping into the labs, and then learning OOP, and then learning MEC frameworks, what they are, the basic concept, and then Python or any other programming language, Go, whatever you are comfortable with for creation of POC scripts, and then you should practice a little bit on some vulnerable web applications people have created. You can use OSP SKF. That is a really good start, but it is kind of, I think, advanced, not for OSWE or the lab syllabus. So you can just see the syllabus, and then you can find exercises based on that, right? You can just find that. So coming forward, what other materials beside the official docs and that helped greatly in your success? So it was wet work. Really thanks to him. I think I made a pull request in here based on those PHP exercises. Yeah. So he has added comments in each and every exercise you are going to do. Let's say this is 4.php, right? You don't have to get a spoiler, you don't have to read the source code. So what I did was I just read the comments in here, and then I wrote my own PHP scripts. So I would say do all of these, and do all of these for JavaScript, Java, PHP, and C#. Don't miss out on this. Practice all the programming languages. Really, it will help you a lot, and if you don't, you might pass the exam, but it won't be that much of a good feeling because you really didn't go the intended way, right? Okay, so other thing, the widths. There are many articles out there regarding OSWE preparation. I mean, you can find a lot of those, and all of those have mentioned the resources. Another thing I would say here is that yeah, so that is, whenever you are stuck on extra mile, you can get help on the forums, but if you don't, remember that the applications which are on the labs are open source, and all of those applications are open source, and you can find those CVEs, and you can just type, let's say you are searching for Node.js Best Master RCE. When you are doing the external, that is kind of twisted, so you might not find that. But if you are searching for the deserialization in DotNetNuke or deserialization in manageengine, I'm really sorry for bad spelling, but it'll have to do. So yeah, this James Odin. So you can find the exploit here, right? So if you're stuck on extra mile and nobody from the forums is helping you, you can use, remember, you can use all of these. You can get the details from here, you can get the exploit from here, and he explained it really well. Since I didn't do manageengine extra mile, I came here and I went through this exploit. Hopefully I didn't give you a spoiler and you haven't read this until you have done the machine. So yeah. Moving forward, if you had to do AWA and OSWE once more, what would you do better? Yeah, that would be learning these programming languages and then doing OS code for C# and Node.js, which my friends recommended, but I didn't do because of lack of time and really not a good schedule of mine. So that's it. So these were the questions from the first guy. The second one asked, do you have a dev background? Nope, I do not. I am a senior security engineer currently in eBricks, and my daily tasks include pen testing of web applications, mobile applications, and then there's network, internal, external, the pen test of that, and stuff like that. And then automation is also a part of that, but I do not have a dev background. I did create some applications in Django and Laravel in some MEC frameworks. I didn't know OSWE existed at the time. I just did that to practice in those, whenever I see someone doing that. So I think maybe I should learn that too. So I learned Flask. I'm not sure if it is MEC. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. It's most of the time it's just a single file. You can just add a module in that and you can run it really easily, right? So yeah, I don't have a dev background. Any tips? It would be the same. Do all of these prerequisites before jumping into the exam. If you don't, you might not get the results you want. And what IDE did you use? So I use Sublime Text daily, and I'm using that right now, but I would say that get comfortable with Visual Studio Code, get comfortable with debugging in it, get comfortable with reading the references, going to the modules, and really get comfortable with that. It'll help you a lot. And then this question was from Twitter. Any advice or suggestions? Same. It is the same. It is the same. These prerequisites, and afterwards maybe other external sources. Yeah, there are many blogs. I would say that because my video might not be complete and it might not ask some of your answers, you can still ask the answers in the question section, and I'll try my best to answer those whenever I get any email or any notification that I've received on it. So I'll answer those. But at the same time, there are many articles. If you just search OSWE preparation, you can find a lot of those online. So actually there was a repository, I think I should just find right now. It was like really detailed. Let me get that. We have to go to GitHub and then search here. So what that repository had was, it had a methodology to how to approach your all of the machines you are going to do. So I hope I find that. If I don't, I'll just add that in the comment section. Let's go to 2 to 3 pages. I think it was from Sojourn. Yeah, actually this is the one. This was some really good content. I would highly suggest you to go through this. This guy did a really good job. I don't know why this is really underrated. It only has 7 stars, but this is good stuff. He tells you how to identify a functionality, what you should do, map the attack surface, all of these checks you should perform, and when you perform these, you will ultimately find the vulnerability which you are missing. And this was really helpful in both my exam and the labs. I remember these points, so I noted these myself too, that these are the things I have to look for when my black box pen test and my source code audit of each and every file fails. So this is something I would depend on in that case. So make sure to visit this repository. I will try it. If I remember, I'll add the link in the description. And then there are many articles for OSWE preparation. As I said, you should go through all of those, not some, because I think all the articles available at my time, I went through all of those. I went through each and every, and I found whatever source there was mentioned, maybe some edit. I think there's one GR auditor. This has some really good regex patterns in it, right? Yeah, so actually you can use this too to maybe check your applications. There was another website, I don't remember the name of. It had all of the grep patterns mentioned right on the website, so you could just copy from the GitHub bio page and you can try those. So it had for like PHP info, for PHP juggling, or I'm not sure about PHP juggling, but for RC, vulnerable functions, etc., you can use that. Remember to, and then the ending notes would be to remember to see any functionality which is not present in the UI and the web application which you are browsing from your browser, but the source code or the feature is present in the source code, and you can call it maybe using a API endpoint, whether it is authenticated or unauthenticated, but you can still call it, right? So try to find those hidden features. That would be your way to go, and that would be a tip from me to you. And hopefully this isn't a spoiler. I hope it isn't. So that is it. I think this might be a really good video. I'm not sure how much time I took. So that would be it. And in the end, I would like to thanks my family who supported me, from the day first to end for the preparation, for the exam, to keeping it up with me, for waking me up for days to prep to do the preparation. So I'm really thankful for that. And then my colleagues, especially Mukarram Khalid, Zishan Sahi, Moiz Imtiaz, Danish, each and everyone who helped me, Bilal Rizwan, each and everyone who helped me, in the labs whenever I had a question. Mukarram gave exam before me, so whenever I had a question regarding VPN or the labs, I would ask him right away. I would just message him and he would reply me in 30 minutes, 15 minutes, or as soon as possible. So really big thanks to that. And then thanks to eBricks, my company, for sponsoring this. They sponsored my OSCP as well. Hopefully they will sponsor OSC too. Let's hope. So thanks to them, and then thank you to you for watching this video. I hope that you found this useful. I hope I didn't really rant too much, so I hope this was useful to you. So thank you very much for watching. Bye. If you have any questions, you can ask those in the comments. So yep, bye.